connection with Lux. So out here in Jordan, we are on line of sight towers, and we're lucky where we are. We're actually the hub for the internet for about 15 kilometers around here. That because we're right on the top of the Niagara Escarpment, so last mile internet set up a tower here, which is pretty cool. So we get 10 years of unlimited, unthrottled, whatever internet for 10 years. So I think we're 6 years into that, so that will hurt when if that ends. I hope it doesn't. So awesome. So a few people joined us. This is awesome. Thank you, thank you. And we will get going certainly here very soon. We're at 3:29. I'll just wait for a few more minutes. I'll take a sip of water. What do you think of this for a water jug? Is this Fancy Farm Girl or what? So in your package, for those that don't know me, it's all wines from my own brand, Sue Ann Staff. But I also have another brand called Fancy Farm Girl. And if you're looking for the wines in the LCBO, you're more likely to find Fancy Farm Girl. So whenever I see something that's glamorous and cheesy, I immediately need to own it and buy it. And this water jug obviously qualified. Excellent. Well, I thought we'd just have some fun this afternoon, 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. What else is a girl to do but pop open some wine and go through it? And I thought we'd go through the wines that just went in the Savvy Wine Tasting Club. And I'm proud. I've been working with Debbie Trentham for many, many years now, probably since, I'm not sure, maybe the late 90s anyway, when I was the winemaker at Pillsbury Estates. And had actually Debbie's very first wine event. I was her winemaker guest at it, and it was 60 people at a dinner in Ottawa, and we did all Pillsbury wines with it, and it's been ever since then we've been together. So anyway, thank you, Sharon, for loving the Fancy Farm Girl wines. Awesome. Hopefully you'll see some of the rosés and the sparkling wines in some upcoming releases. So if you hear some crazy noises in the background, that is the 9-month-old Bernese Mountain Dog puppy who's having a marvelous time chomping away on some bones. So anyway, okay, let's get to the wine. I'm thirsty, so that means we all need to get going with that. I thought we'd go through the Roberts Block Riesling first. I always like to. I think these wines are all fairly big, have lots of energy to them, lots of flavor. So I always kind of pick a bit of a larger glass, even for the whites to use, especially with this Roberts Block Riesling. So where I am here on the top of the Niagara Escarpment, this is classic Riesling country. You start here, and as the crow flies going west, you'll hit the fantastic vineyards of like the Nadia's vineyard for Flat Rock Cellars. You'll hit the St. Urban's blocks for Vineland Estates, the CSV vineyards for Cave Springs. And we're all along the top edge of Niagara Escarpment, where there really isn't a lot of soil, and the roots of the vine are literally on the rock of the escarpment. So this one is from the oldest block of Riesling that we have on the property. It was planted in 94. It's just the year I graduated from Guelph University. I went to Guelph for horticulture and biotechnology, and then to the University of Adelaide after that for my winemaking studies. So 94. So what this is going to be now, like those vines will be 28 years old. Goodness, is that right? It is. Yeah. And they're pruning them right now. With the really intense cold we've had, we're leaving more canes and more buds just to be sure that we get through the winter okay. So we're actually leaving 3 canes instead of 2, and leaving them a little bit longer in case this cold weather is killing some of those buds. So anyway, okay, to the wine. So this is the 2018 that you have. We're probably just in the middle of releasing this wine before we get to the 2019. It's showing a little bit of age to it. It's got a little bit of little bit of straw color to it. I'd call that medium straw in color. On the nose, right, getting some beeswax notes, some beeswax, lemon, some chamomile, kind of like some like citronella type notes, lemon oil. Ooh, there's the guy. We won't encourage him to come over here. Really loving kind of like there's a mineral note to this wine as well. And that's what makes Rieslings from this area so like off the chart spectacular, and the best Rieslings in the world come from regions like this where you have the limestone soil with the clay right over top of it. So the roots of the vine are literally on the rock of the escarpment. All right, on the palate. Dry, fresh, bright. There is a tiny bit of residual sugar to this wine, not a lot. It's only about 14 grams residual sugar. The acidity is so elevated that it cancels off the sweet sensation. And so the wine truly comes across dry and fresh. It's almost hard to talk because the acidity, my mouth is watering. I'm thinking right now of, we're doing some tandoori chicken tomorrow. I do a sizzling with sauce. It's a little cooking and wine thing at 2 o'clock on Facebook Live or on Instagram. And I'm thinking how that's going to go with this right now. That tiny bit of sweetness will calm down the flames from it. And it's so complex that it's going to go so nicely with those really intense tandoori flavors. And then elegant enough to go with chicken. So let's have a little taste again. Wow. And I'm thinking of too, because of that minerality and because of the acidity, really great with some scallops. Be great with and any chicken or fish would be fantastic. And because of that sweetness, it's got like a little tang in the background. I'm thinking of things that have like, it sounds so cheesy, like sweet and sour sauces. I love sweet and sour chicken balls, and I just think somehow that would be so good. I just want to drink the sweet and sour. I get an extra order of just a sweet and sour sauce when I get Chinese food. Or that cherry flavor too. That'd be great. Okay. Oh, and I'm thinking of I just picked up some orange and ginger beef short ribs. That might be interesting with this. Beef and white wine, like, oh, someone lost her mind. But you have those really aromatic notes of the orange and the ginger. That could be a really neat combination with this. And if you're doing something lighter underneath, like some white rice, that'd be fantastic. And we're pairing with the strongest flavors on the plate. And I think like in that case of a orange ginger beef short rib, it might be the orange and the ginger that's the most intense. That'll be interesting. Come back again for more details, and we'll taste it again. All right, very good. Oh, Deb, hello, thank you. Love watching your videos. Oh, you're too nice. Thank you. Yum. Huh? Okay, let's carry on. I don't want to keep you folks forever. I'm sure you want to get to drinking the wines yourself. The next one I'm going to look at is the Viognier Chardonnay Riesling. This is a blend that's unique to just the Sue-Ann Staff Estate Winery. I don't know any other winery that makes this blend. It came about because my father planted 5 rows of Viognier in 2009, and I'm like, oh, Dad, I think we're too far away from Lake Ontario. I don't know how that's going to go, and well, you never know, Sue-Ann. You have to experiment. And do you know anything about Viognier? I'm like, well, I do. And it's traditionally from the south of France, where it doesn't get down to -22 in the wintertime. And so, it's been doing really well in Niagara, but those sites have been closer to Lake Ontario. And so here up on top of the escarpment, we really have to be very, very careful about how what varieties you grow up here. Hence Riesling, Cabernet Franc, Baco Noir, Vidal. The Pinot Gris struggles. This is the first year I haven't pruned the Pinot Gris, either myself or my assistant winemaker, because of how challenging it is up here. So anyway, 2011, the first year we had a crop off of it. I blended it with Riesling because it was so alcoholic, so ripe, and it was so low in acidity. It needed the Riesling to balance off the wine. I didn't do it again. I blended it away in 13, 14, 15 because those crops were so short and so light because of how cold the winters were. And so we got to 2016, and again in 2018, made the Viognier into a blend using, I was thinking it would be Viognier and Riesling exclusively. But when I played with some of the blends, I found that the palate lacked a little bit. It didn't have the mid palate that it needed. So you had the aromatics from the Viognier and the Riesling. The two kind of canceled each other off as far as the acidity and the alcohol, but it missed a mid palate. So I started playing with Chardonnay. And I thought the Chardonnay would give that mid palate feel, the richness, the body, the texture, and so it was great. I had no idea how much Chardonnay is going to take. So when I started playing with it, it was like 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% of the blend. So for the 2016, the exact blend eludes me right now, but it's very similar to what this one was. This one, it does say on the back label, this one is 50% Viognier, 35% Chardonnay, and 15% Riesling. So the Viognier is giving you the aromatics, and the Viognier was aged in oak barrels as well for about 11 months. So on the nose, you can really see those oak notes from the Viognier and some of the floral notes from that as well. The Chardonnay is kind of in there. It was aged in oak as well, but a bit more of a neutral oak, so those oak sensations don't really come from that. And then Riesling, of course, you almost never age Riesling in oak. So the floral, some more of the floral notes are fruit, the lemon, lime, that would all be coming from the Riesling. And then on the palate, dry, full, intense, round, is almost the complete opposite to the Riesling. Like there's no residual sugar in this wine because of it being in oak barrels. A lot more base, a lot more weight, a lot more muscle to this wine. It's because you have those three very different grape varieties that were aged in three very different ways, and each variety is bringing something very different to the party or to the blend of the wine. It really is very different on the palate as well. So as I'm talking along, the flavors are really transitioning So like one moment I'm getting the lemon and the lime, and then another time I'm getting the floral notes, and like it just keeps, it's like it's undulating, like it keeps changing. So a question from Pauline about the when are these wines to be consumed? Well, the Roberts Block Riesling, classic Rieslings like that have the ability to age. Those can absolutely go for 8, 10, 12, maybe up to 15 years, no problem. This guy, though, the Viognier Chardonnay Riesling, it certainly has complexity and weight, and the tannin will help it age as well. So you could go 4 or 5 years, but it's hard to know because I've never made this wine. There's not a pedigree of it, and there's not a history in the world of wines like this being made. As this one gets older, and same as the other one, they'll get a little bit more toasty, a little more like burnt butter, a little more, it's more like honeyed notes to it, especially the Riesling, and which will only benefit the wine. If you like them light and fresh and fruity, tomorrow is the best day to drink both of these wines. But if you like some time with them and you like those nutty characteristics to grow and build in the wine, and then whenever you're eating with it, throw some almonds, some cashews, if it's even older yet, maybe some pecans. If it's really old, some walnuts, and whatever you're making, and that helps drive what to enjoy the wine with. So, all right, what would I enjoy this Viognier Chardonnay Riesling with? Well, one more sip while I think about it. Because of its complexity, I think of things that have lots of umami to it. So I'm thinking like veal parmesan, pork would be fantastic. I'd also think of things like a Caesar salad that has piles of anchovy in it to give it lots of umami. Also thinking about things like like a frittata. Having this with a brunch, like a really savory frittata that has like lots of fresh herbs in it, like thyme and tarragon and things like that. That could be really delicious as well. Even with that, a little bit of a brine note to it, you can even go to some into like some mussels and things like that, like oven baked mussels with a nice little crust on top of it, a buttery crust on top. Yum. Okay, last but not least, let's get the bigger glass yet, because I love big glasses. That's what he said. That's what she said. Anyway, Sue Ann, this is R-rated. I forgot to tell you. Anyway, okay, this is the Gritstone Cabernet. So This I love this wine. Cabernet Franc from this property as well as everything that we've had. Um, every single year I endeavor to make all the Cabernet Franc into the chestnut tree Cabernet Franc. That's our most prized Cabernet Franc. It's named after a pretty prestigious chestnut tree that is here and on the property. It has a very long story to go with it, so I'll just park that there because that could take a while to tell that story. In years that are not my favorite years, so 2019 would be one, 2017, where we just don't have that intense heat that we did in 2016 or 18 or 2020. So what we do is go through all the barrels and declassify. So we pick the very best barrels to go into the chestnut tree, and then other barrels that are they're just tasting fantastic. They get what the French would call declassified, and I put them into the grit stone. So I'm just so proud of this one because 2019 was a really tough year. We had a lot of precipitation, and the color, the intense, the juiciness, the how developed this wine was right from the get go, right from coming out of the crusher, was we knew it was going to be special. So, but I can only make so much chestnut tree as well. So it's kind of like playing with the volumes and playing with the year. Because I'm just like I'm just a little teeny winery, so just trying to make it all happen. So, anyway, I made Gritstone Cabernet in 2017. That one was a blend of 75% Cabernet Franc with 25% Cabernet Sauvignon. I found in 2019, and I needed to do that in 2017. Let's go back there because there was the Cabernet Franc was beautiful, but it missed like this red juicy note that wasn't there. In 2019, that juiciness was there as well. So anyway, I didn't need to blend any Cabernet Sauvignon with it, so this is 100% Cabernet Franc. I think it's got fantastic color. It's got this beautiful dark garnet color to it. The rim, right out to the rim, even it goes dark garnet right to the end, and it's watery white right across the edges. But that's because of its youthfulness. It is still quite young at 2019. Giving a swirl and on the nose. Classic Cabernet Franc with red berry notes to it, being aged in the barrel, some beautiful cedar notes to it. There's actually, I haven't seen this before, and it's not typical in Cabernet Franc per se, certainly is in Merlot and Cab Sav, is a chocolate note. Maybe that's because it's, 3:40 and I haven't had chocolate yet today, but if I see a chocolate, I see a little bit of like a pencil shaving note as well, and that's very classic as a classic characteristic for Cabernet Francs. Also a little bit of like a spearmint note, like a really really elusive mint characteristic, but it's just subtly like it's a subtle characteristic below all those other characteristics. All right, and then on the palate. Dry, intense, youthful. Those tannins, they're really well put together, but it really has a beautiful grip on the palate. So, drinking great now, great with some dark chocolate, but also will hold really nicely too for 5, 10. Oh, I wouldn't go 10 maybe. Well, 5 to 8 years, no problem at all. Because of those tannins, they'll just link up as the wine ages and become much more silky and velvety on the palate as time goes on. Yum. Just loving this, because it's 2019, because that was a cooler year compared to 2010 and to 2010. I'm living in the past. 2016 and 2018. But there's a little bit of green tones to it, but they're really so subtle. I see it on the nose, but it is in such a tiny, tiny, tiny component to all those other red berry characteristics. I'm really wanting right now to get a steak out and like a peppered steak or like a filet mignon that already has been nicely seasoned and grilled on the barbecue. I think one of the easiest meals and loveliest meals is just a beautiful meat quickly seared with a little bit of tomato. And because of those little green notes, that tomato leaf note might be kind of interesting here. Right, some dark chocolate, some lamb with this. Oh, lamb sausage or like a rack of lamb. You get even a little more rustic because of the earthiness of this wine. You can get like a lamb stew type thing with a little bit of juniper berry in it. That'd be stunning, just to kind of match up and link up some of those aromatic notes of the wine with something aromatic in your stew. That'd be fantastic. So anyway, they're drinking well now. Will hold 5 to 8 years as well. Great with some red meats and great with some dark chocolate as well. So all right, so that's just a quick little down and dirty about all the 3 wines that were in your package. It'll be fun, just kind of link up with you folks. This will live on our Facebook page, so if you want to head back to it afterwards, or if you know other people that missed this today, that's fantastic. And if you need more of any of the wines, get a hold of Debbie at Savvy, and I'm sure she'll hook you up to get some more wines up to you. Give us a ring too, of course, but Debbie is your conduit for this, and she's the rock star that made this connection happen today. So anyway, it's been fabulous. I hope to see you down in Jordan. Stay safe. I know many of you are in Ottawa. Stay home. And over the next 24 hours, because who knows how will you be able to get out of your roads? I don't know, get anywhere with all the trucks that are there. I don't know. Love to hear from you to see how it all goes. Anyway, okay, be well, stay safe, everyone, and hope to see you here at the winery sometime soon. Okay, ciao, ciao.